Well, good morning. Mike, how you doing today?
Good, Astor. How are you?
That's great. I'm glad. I'm doing well myself. And good morning to everybody.
Morning.
All right. That's a great response. Didn't even have to ask for anything. So thanks, Irene. And Mike and I are co-chairs of NCPP, National Conservation Planning Partnership effort. And we're going to just kind of give you a high-cut overview outline. There'll be plenty of time for you guys to ask questions later on while you're here and stuff. So interactive. You can tell that I am very interactive as well and stuff. So, Mike, you want to say something first, or you want me to just kind of give a high, 2 or 3
You do the high cut, and I'll do a little lower cut.
All right, quick high cut overview is what NCPP, we wanted to reinvigorate conservation planning. You know, and it's not only reinvigorated with our own employees, our partner employees, but with the landowners across this great nation. You know, and really get a feel for what the needs are out there from our landowners. You know, we've had this standard way of we doing our plans, a standard format. But does that meet everybody's need? You know, that's the question that we've had. And we've had people respond to and say, well, I need this, I need that. We have some folks that will take a plan and go to a implement dealer and talk about how can I finance something using this plan, showing the work that I'm doing as far as conservation, strategic bank or something like that. So that's really more the high. Getting our employees to really refocus, get back out in the field, on the landscape, talk to landowners and have that dialogue. Sometimes kick the clod down the road or something, like whatever it might be, but reinvigorate that process where we think, what is it that we want to do? It's not my plan, it's not our employees' plan, it's the landowner's plan. That's what we want to get back to. That's that high cut that I'm doing for you. So now you can fill in a little bit of piece.
You can tell it's hard for me to keep up with that. But, you know, we're very fortunate in this country, and due to the work of a lot of folks over a lot of years, we've had just a ton of money dedicated to conservation in this country over the years through a number of farm bills. And perhaps an unintended consequence of that bounty of funding is, in order to get that money on the ground, we had to get a lot of contracts written. And in doing so, what we found is over the years, many times we were writing conservation plans to satisfy the needs of contracts rather than satisfying the needs of landowners and operators. And now, the timing of this thing did not happen by accident. NRCS is rolling out CDSI, which the Conservation Delivery Streamlining Initiative, which is going to give our conservation planners at both NRCS and the districts new tools to do their jobs faster and spend more time in the field. With that, we're rolling out NCPP so we can focus on creating plans that truly benefit those landowners and operators instead of just merely satisfying contracts.
And you know, part of that, what you was talking about, you know, the way that we have changed, I say we, in terms of people, technology, and all that information, you know, and where we have a lot of our newer employees, you know, utilization of the iPhones and the technical things that sometimes we didn't have in our field offices. So we want to, part of this reinvigoration is having that engagement with people. How can we engage our landowners as well? There's a lot of youth that are, I would say, at that cutting edge of new technology. You know, whether it's precision farming or if you're in your house and you're trying to turn something on, or you are turning something on about your irrigation system on or something of that sort. So we want to make sure that we incorporate all that. I mean, that's the important step. We want to be able to, when we're completed that day, that's not the only day we'll be out there, but that day that we're out there is giving them a true assessment of their needs, putting it in some type of format that's beneficial to them. You know, whether it's 1 page or 20 pages, whatever they may need. But having our people trained, our partners trained, that's important. We have other devices that tie into that as well when it comes to our service providers. So that same training our people are going through, that's the type of training we expect anybody that's going to deliver conservation or work with landowners to have. So this here whole refocusing is bigger and broader than just a few things. There's a lot of stuff that we're trying to incorporate back on the landscape and make sure our landowners have the best opportunity to be successful in our state.
And I get excited about this not only because of my role with NASCA, and not only because of my role with the planning partnership, but I have a farm in Delaware, and all of this is near and dear to my heart. Some of folks in the room have been out on my farm, as you're going to see later. But stick with us this morning. I think you're going to see some things that at least get me excited. I hope they'll get you excited too.
Yeah, I think we all are pretty excited about this here. I would say this just got joking. Mike and I didn't plan on wearing the same shirts this morning. Sometimes when you just engaged in something and you got that feel for it, it just turns out perfect. So I walked in and said, man, you got to remember one. I didn't have to say this.
That doesn't happen often.
Irene, I think we're kind of...
Any questions though?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we have time if there are any questions. I mean, probably a lot of the questions will be answered through the course of this morning.
Somebody throw a question up here to us.
I got it.
You got one? Now, don't make it hard now. All right?
No. It's, I mean, 4 decades ago when I started with NRCS, I went to the Lincoln, Nebraska training section. Is that still open and viable?
So are you talking about we have a soil center there, is that what you're talking about? Or
Yeah, the Lincoln.
Yeah, the Lincoln Center, yeah, it's there, it's viable. We had I shouldn't even get off of the subject.
That's
We had a
okay.
meeting last summer
catch up.
in Lincoln. Yeah, last June in Lincoln, that we were celebrating some activity that we were doing, and we're going to turn that more into some of that. It's a Hugh Hammond Bennett Center out there eventually. But yeah, that soil center and the work that we've done there is great. And it is part of this here overall scheme of making sure that we have technical information. You know, soil is the key. And the other dialogue and discussion about our soil health. So I'm glad you mentioned soil. And it ties into RSET, ties into conservation planning. You know, they all go hand in hand. You know, it's not that one is by itself, they go together.
And I'm glad you brought up that history, because one thing we should say is we're not redefining conservation planning. We still go through the 9 steps of conservation planning. The focus is more customer oriented.
That's exactly right, yeah. Another question?
Why did it take so long to get to this point?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I'll try to answer it. I will say that you get to moving so far in one direction, and a lot of times when you finally realize that we need to kind of refocus, you're so far out of that field that it takes so much to turn. And we've talked about it. How do you turn this ship around? You know, we want to make sure that we're providing the best assistance to our customers, and you know, whether they are there for financial assistance, which we have that capability. But there's so many of our landowners that just need technical assistance. They want to be able to do for themselves, but sometimes they just need a little bit of engineering help or an agronomist to come out or something. So yeah, have you thought about doing this? Or we can design something for you, or we can share this information. So that's key and important, but you know, it just takes a lot of time for us to get these ships turned around when we get so far. Not that it was bad, but you think about the whole agency and what the main point about conservation is and natural resources conservation service, and then all the partners that are engaged with us as well.
And you know, Dan, you make a good point, because this effort started in January 2015 in Indianapolis. But you recall in 2012, NASCA talked about this exact same thing. We wrote a white paper, and even in 2015, at that first Congress, if you will, we had folks that stood up and said, there's nothing wrong with the way we're doing planning. We're getting a ton of money out on the landscape, and that's our job. In answer to your question, why did it take so long? Admittedly, part of this was designed to roll out with CDSI so those new tools could speed up the process and keep people out in the field.
Exactly.
2 questions here, but one thing, and she just asked, NASCA, what's the acronym, what's it stand for?
NASCAR without the R.
What's it stand for?
It's the National Association of State Conservation Agencies.
Okay.
So we're the state arm of the Conservation Partnership.
Yeah. Now, it looks like we're having political change, you know, perspective, you know, we're looking at politics, positive or negative? What do we see?
Stay tuned. That's all I have to say. Stay tuned.
I'll say this here.
Okay.
From my perspective.
Okay.
I'm positive. I'm always optimistic about what we can do. I tell my folks, like, if you get lemons, you make lemonade. Okay? So you take what you have and do the best you can with it. So how we're working together, it's going to be positive. We're going to make sure that you have what you need on the landscape. That's positive. Okay?
Based on polling results, 50% positive, 50% negative.
Dick?
So are you gonna make it easier for partners to get in and into the government system, get trained for planning and get up to speed?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
one thing I'd like to bring, we're gonna have an NCPP leadership team meeting tomorrow, and I'm gonna sneak something into the agenda. I haven't told Astor about this.
But he told me now,
Yeah,
so I
but-
got it now.
But I would like to create, and understand, boot camp is not the end all of the training. It's kind of a, I don't want to say elementary level, but basic level, but all needs at a basic level training. But there are other training that's needed around the country as well, okay?
Yeah.
But a goal is to make these training sessions more regionalized, or even, you know, if the need's there, even at the state level.
And so getting into our system, yeah, we're definitely looking at how we can actually advance that, make it simpler, not only for our partners, but for our own employees. It's not like there's a tie between, I mean, a situation where it's only the partner employees that have, but our own employees. And so we realize that there are some things that we need to improve across the board, and it'll make it easy for our new employees, and our partner employees, and whoever's working, that we're working with at the time. So yeah, we're definitely looking into that to improve that.
And Dick, Mark Clark from Washington State knows where I live. And if
Yes.
I don't bring this up tomorrow,
Yes.
I know that he will hunt me down.
I'm right here keeping you on track, but
We have time for a few more questions.
Any other questions? No
They need
questions?
to practice because they're going to take this gig on tours.
Yeah. I was watching Mike and Mike, so we can't do Mike and Mike, so I figured it'd be Boozy and Brown. How about that?
There you go.
Not Boozy and Brown. B&B. We got it made. B&B, yeah, exactly. Other questions?
just from a workload perspective, Astor, when you look at where NRCS is held to right now, and use that, and maybe a few more, and you look at the work that needs to be done, have you folks started to look at employees retiring? Have you run the data behind this to talk about how many employees we're going to have to get through in order to get back to good code?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's always a big question. Even when you have a full staff of employees with no vacancies, and you run the numbers, you have so much attrition every year, and you try to stay up there.
So I'm just checking to see if you guys are running that in the background here while you're doing this.
We're running that and trying to get a great handle on it where we know. Plus that's the capacity issue. We talked about training and boot camp and all this. When you get a new employee, fresh employee right out of college, off the street, and even some of the employees that may have been in our summer intern program or something, they're just not hitting the office that first day and being productive. It's a process. It could be a year and a half, could be up to 3 years. It just depends on what their skill set might be. It could be an engineer, and you have to run through that. So when you look at that capacity, it takes time. And we've been looking at that, Mark, and trying to figure out how can we put enough through the system to where we can actually begin to catch that.
The reason I ask that question is I know what it is in the state of Washington. It may not be true everywhere else, but that causes me to say, well, this must be what is true elsewhere. It's what's caused me to go to regional trainings that talks about how do we get more people either grandfathered in faster or into the system. But I still have yet to see the real life data of how big the problem really is. And if that's there somewhere in the next few months, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, folks are working on that, and we have, so we know, and to answer your question, some of the grandfathering process, so people that are in our system now, and we pull data for all of our partners. Yeah, we have a database with all of our partner employees that are either grandfathered in as certified or whether they are apprentices. So we have that data, and we'll be able to pull all that together to where we can present it to folks, our partners, sometime here in the near future. But yeah, I mean, definitely, we're thinking on the same line because we got to have an idea of how many people we have to have in the system in order to keep our staff trained up to where when anybody walks into the door around this great nation, even out in Guam somewhere, we have the people that we need. And we've talked to our people from Guam here and the staff and our directors covering that area. So this is a nationwide issue. We want everybody engaged. There'll be opportunities and times when we're going to ask landowners. What is it you need? I was talking about what do you need when it comes to a plan? You know, and I've thought about this here. I've talked to a few people, and when you are managing your operation, it's a business, okay? And when you can show that a purchase here can actually turn over and provide you more of a business and more productivity or productivity, that's when you can really show some serious gains there. When you go to a banker or to your local, whatever it might be, you can prove to them. I mean, I think that speaks volumes. What you've done as a businessman, businesswoman, it's all, don't take me wrong, a business person, how about that? When you go and you're doing business, you have something to do. You can't go without having some type of business plan. I think your conservation plan should be your business plan, you know, or part of a bigger scheme of business plan. That's what we want to provide.
And, you know, the interesting thing that I've learned during the past couple of years, we've seen examples where conservation plans have literally saved operators hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, $100,000 in one operation by having a conservation plan. It's phenomenal.
Makes a world of difference. Another question?
I wanted to add to what Astor and Mike were saying, because you bring up a really good point. And what we're trying to do is to engage the field offices, and that's going to be within the partnerships, so our districts, our state, and our district conservationists, to see how are they actually working with the current resources and tools they have to expand out the rollout and assistance for our landowners and those individuals within those counties and states. So we do a series called What Works in the Field, and in that it engages, again, that local leadership to say, this is where we saw the challenge, this is where we've been able to overcome and provide some new opportunities, as well as now some things that we're still working out. But it allows us to have this integrated discussion that allows us to now take some of those concepts that are happening in Washington State or that are happening in the South Central region and then to expand it agency-wide. And then in addition to that, what we're doing now is going into the states. So we'll actually be coming to Washington State here this summer to really get into the needs and the intricacies of what now the employees are seeing on the next step to make sure that we've identified those barriers. We now have engaged those landowners, and we are truly getting a good marketable product for all of the landowners within that county. So we want to have a continuous engagement, not only internally, but then externally with those landowners so we can make sure we've got a beneficial gain. But until we can actually get the capacity in place, we have been utilizing the tools to, again, have more of a sharing discussion. So it's been really good, and it's been, again, more from a field office perspective to help us make sure that we're sharing what has truly worked. So I just wanted to add that.
And folks, that was Casey Taylor, our state conservationist in the great state of Delaware. So she brings a lot to the table as well as part of the NCPP National Conservation Planning Partnership team of folks, and she's leading our messaging and communication area within the scope of the team itself. And I'll stop and go. We got another question.
So you had talked about technology and the evolving nature of society and young people. A lot of the focus seems to come from agency down, whereas there are probably farmers out there who are like, just give me the tools, I'll do it myself. So they'll show me where I can get the assessments, let me pick an a la carte menu. I don't want to do the whole 9-step conservation process. I want to do steps 1, 4, and 9. Is there any thought about merging the top-down agency out process with the landowner up coming in process?
So I'll start. I know Mike, you were just about to tell me, so I cut Mike off. He's got a better answer than mine, but I put mine out. So I'll say yes. I mean, because think about this here. We are looking at opportunities for apps and things that make it convenient. And you mentioned bits and pieces of parts. You know, we have our soil resource database that's an app that you can pop on your phone and you can utilize it for that particular location where you're in. It provides you some great information on your soil type and things. We're looking at improving and expanding that to other bits and pieces of technology and applications that the landowner can do, he or she, on any piece of their property. Plus those same type of apps help our staff. I mean, the more we can actually gather information, whether we're in the office looking at maps or whatever, or when we're on the landscape and popping some available tools right then and there, that's what we want to do. You know, and then your plan. You know, there's your landowner, it's your plan. You can jump and pick and choose and kind of do how you want. I think our technical folks will try to give you the advice to where you can make a great decision as you move forward. But yeah, I mean, that's what we want to do. I mean, we that type of response is what not only myself is looking for, but other folks on the NCPP team in our state, our field employees, our district conservation, want to get that input from landowners. What are your needs? How can we take what you need, incorporate it in what we're doing, or trying to meet your needs? So great question. And Mike has some more he got.
And don't get hung up on the 9 steps and picking and choosing there, because they're a fairly sequential process, and they just structure a process that makes a lot of steps. But from day one of this effort, we all said that one of the major architects of conservation plans have got to be the landowner or the operator. Okay, it's got to be their plan. They need to be a part of drafting the plan. And a good plan is not, and Aaron, here's word for the day, it's not dictatorial. I get that out. But it provides options for the landowner that address the natural resource needs on that property. But it allows the landowner or operator to select the options that best fit his or her operation from a management perspective.
It's a great question, definitely. You know, we hope that folks get engaged. Our field staff, our district board members, you know, our NASCA folks within the states, our employee association, a good portion of the people that we are engaged with, whether it's federal employees or state, have operations themselves, you know, and no better opportunity than for the people that have operations that are working for the agency. And I have some property myself. I have a ranch in Texas and stuff, so I want them to have some ideas on how I can utilize this same technology when I'm on the landscape, you know, whether it's grass species or soil health, soil resources. I probably need to run that across that on mine.
Yeah, that's great too.
I know it.
I'll talk about that in a little while.
Definitely, I'll do that. Other questions?
We good?
How are we on time?
We are perfect.
Perfect.
Have I ever said you were perfect before?
Well, once you did. That's number 2.
Could I do one thing before I sit down?
Sure you can.
If you have an open chair next to you, will you put your hand up, because we've got some folks that are standing? And if you're like Myron Taylor and you're so buff that you only take up half a chair, maybe you just put your hand up a little bit. I'm going to let mine hang, because I take a chair.
So folks, that's the conclusion of Brown and Bruiser for this morning, but we will be back on set later on in the day. Thank you very much.